Welcome, Miner 45602, to your first day on the job here at To The Core Play Inc. You will begin operations momentarily. Remember to control the drill using the provided WASD controls and never respawn to the core. We here at To The Core Play Inc. value your safety, so remember to always follow the rules. That is all.
You are ready. Your one sole objective. Get to the core.
It's roll time, newbie.
What? Hey, I'll be your guide for operating this drill, and let's be honest, I'll be doing everything myself. You're only here because corporate doesn't like the idea of me operating this thing on my own. Something about not wanting to give dangerous machinery into the hands of AI. Anyways, you heard my objective in your training video. Let's get to the core. In order to get to the core, we'll have to complete a total of 19 milestones called achievements. To start out, we'll be completing the first by following the starting instructions corporate gave us to make sure we can operate the drill. First, we'll go to the only planet we can go to right now, the planet home. Here, we'll start our journey by collecting some iron off of the planet's surface. You see, currently the drill is far too under-equipped to even think about reaching the core. We'll need some major modifications first. Ooh, and watch your fuel, because when it runs out... My head!
Welcome back, Miner 45602.
What was that? Why did we blow up?
Blame corporate. The upper management somehow approved a drill that manages to explode when it runs out of a flammable material in a zero oxygen environment. You'll get used to it. Anyways, every time a drill blows up, we get a chance to upgrade the next one using the materials we gathered. Following the basic instructions, I sold off all our iron ore and used the money to upgrade the drill's damage by 1 for a 20% increase. This finished the starting instructions, completing our first achievement. From now on, there'll be no more handholding. After looking around the shop for a while, I found other upgrades that took iron directly instead of money. If we wanted the upgrades, we needed iron. Time to hit the mines. The drill only had very limited controls when mining, unable to do anything but strafe left and right. I tried to find a better way to mine despite this, like using walls to limit the bounce, but because of our low survival time, none of these setups were very useful. On the other hand, the iron did prove to be useful. The money from selling it upgraded the drill's damage to a 44% increase. The iron itself was also put to use by getting 2 new upgrades to level 5. Fuel Tank Plus, which more than doubled the drill's fuel capacity, and Ore Extraction, which gave 74.4 more ore to every ore mined. With these new upgrades, I can make it deeper than before. However, the closer we got to the core, the stronger the ore became, stopping us from reaching the core once more. This meant we needed more upgrades, and after maxing out drill damage, a new one opened up that looked like it could be extremely useful, called Gravity Lock. For $2,000, we would gain the ability to completely negate the bouncing effect of hitting blocks. Instead of being a space pogo drill, we would finally be able to become just a space drill. With a target of 2K, it was time to work at the mines. With the power of the Pogo Space Drill, we easily outpaced the income of the Industrial Revolution miner, who would have taken 111 days at best to make the 2K. All the iron mining also brought our Iron Mastery up to level 3. Resource Mastery would go up with the more of any resource we collected, providing a couple of bonuses related to the resource. It made the resource easier to mine, have more drops, and give additional money when sold. With this effect, the 2.2K iron I sold got us well over our goal of 2K dollaroos. With the drill now equipped with Gravity Lock, it was time to see if it'd really be as good as it sounded. Dropping onto the planet home, I activated the Gravity Lock. Like cutting the cables in an elevator, we plummeted straight towards the core, crashing into the second and much more powerful material of the planet home, silicon. Gravity Lock was insane. I took advantage of this to repeatedly rend the planet's rind of humongous hunks of hematite. This let us max out ore extraction and get even more fuel. With these upgrades, I decided to mine more iron to take Fuel Tank Plus as high as I could before taking on silicon. 43,000 iron later, Fuel Tank Plus was level 16, giving 245 more fuel capacity. Silly's silicon was soon to be gone. There was only one little problem. Silicon was so durable, it took more than one hit. This brought back the blasted bouncing from before Gravity Lock. Each hit also lost way more fuel than iron, limiting the amount we could collect each trip. This wouldn't be the case for long though, as mining 1,000 silicon unlocked a ton of new silicon upgrades. The first of these upgrades was Silicon Plated Drill. With the addition of some coin gathered from selling off extra iron, I leveled it to 5, giving the damage we needed to insta-mine the top layer of silicon. There was also Silicon Plating, which increased the armor stat. I had no clue what the armor stat was, and the description saying armor will negate some block damage didn't clear things up either, since I also didn't know what block damage was. Lastly, the continuation of Orb Refine was a great use for any extra silicon we had.
After mining another 4,000 silicon, I noticed an upgrade I had missed before. Costing only money, it was named Coin Siphon. Reading the description revealed that upgrading this would siphon a percentage of coins from blocks. If this worked how I thought it would, we would get a percentage of the sell price of an ore when it was mined. This seemed like a great way to invest money and have it grow slowly over time. So how much did it siphon? 10%? That would give a full sell price of a block every 10 blocks mined. Not bad at all. Wait, it's 10% per level and we have the money to take it to level 4 right away? This upgrade could go up to level 10. That would mean at max level, just mining a block would give its full sell price. There was no way this would work as I thought it would. So I dropped into the next mining run to test it out, and yeah, it totally works exactly how I thought it would, immediately paying itself off in just 3 drops. With this, we would never need to sell resources again. In fact, selling would be a bad idea since we needed the resources themselves for upgrades. It would be 100% worth it to max out Siphon as soon as possible, so I allocated all of our money into it, leaving 7,000 silicon that couldn't be used on silicon drill. It would be a waste to leave it all just sitting around though, so I put it into silicon plating, taking the drill's armor stat from 3.3 to 31.8 for an almost 10 times increase. I didn't think this upgrade would do much, but oh boy was I wrong after we made it through the entire layer of iron only using 2 fuel. Even mining the silicon took almost none. The only thing to stop us was coming into contact with the third and final ore of the planet home, aluminum. Even then, we still collected 540 pieces before running out of fuel. This was insane for resource collection, and we now had a ton to spend on finishing off upgrades. With 22k cash and 17k silicon, I maxed out silicon plated drill. The rest of the money was used on tank size plus. Having these upgrades maxed out meant it was time to look for new ones, and thrusters looked like a must-have. They would allow vertical movement while mining. With this, I can control which resources we mined. No more falling to the next layer and dying early. This also has the hidden side effect of giving me control over our death, which would be a key piece in creating an overpowered combo with later upgrades. Using the newly acquired thrusters, I completely gutted out the planet of all of its silicon. We needed this silicon to max out the drill's armor before tackling the next challenge of aluminum. This was the drill against aluminum before maxing out silicon plating, and this is the drill after. This time, I'd go about a different tactic for gathering aluminum over what I used for silicon. While being able to insta-mine the aluminum was important, it didn't matter if I could only mine 2 blocks before dying. Splitting our resources between damage and aluminum plated drill and armor and aluminum foil would maximize our mining potential. Aluminum also had some smaller upgrades, like regeneration, that would give us a percentage of fuel back when breaking ore based on its health. This would make ores that did almost no damage through shield do literally no damage, or at high levels, even give fuel. There was also ore siphon, which worked just like it sounded. With the goal of leveling these upgrades as far as I possibly could, I kept going deeper and deeper into the aluminum layer, until this happened.
Ha 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 ha! You think reaching me would be enough to defeat me? Your measly acts of violence merely tickle. Ha ha.
The core still had way too much health for us to take it down right now. I would have to strengthen the drill first by gathering more aluminum before taking it on again. Once we had aluminum drill level 5 and aluminum foil level 4, I hit the turning point. We now had to insta-mine for the entire top layer of aluminum, and only the core did enough damage to do us in. With this, I easily got over 70,000 aluminum and upgraded aluminum drill to level 6, passing the final damage threshold for insta-mining every ore on the entire planet. The only thing between us and the core now was a few aluminum foil upgrades. So I completely pitted the planet of all of its aluminum and used the 100k to bring it up to level 8. We were now ready.
Oh, I am slain. Okay, enough joking around. I think I humored you long enough. You may have defeated me, but I'm every core in this entire solar system. This is only my weakest form on my weakest planet. Until you take out every core in the entire solar system, I will never die. I wish you luck. You'll need it with how weak you are. Ah, 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 ah.
This guy.
Remember the protocol, you must not respond.
No way I can do that. This guy is too provocative. You know what? We're taking you down. It doesn't matter how many forms you got. We'll take them all on. AI, let's do this.
Thanks, Miner. You're the man. To be honest, that rule only exists because no one can deal with this guy without getting pissed off. The core stands no chance now. Taking down Holmes' core unlocked the ability for us to prestige, completing an achievement. This would let us take on Holmes' core's second form, which has 3 times the health, but also 3 times the resources. Dropping into Prestige 2, we could still easily take down iron, but silicon was already too much. I took advantage of this to grind out a massive amount of iron and get the first vision upgrade, finishing another achievement. With an upgraded vision, we could see new planets in the solar system, and this first one revealed a new planet close to us, Holmes' moon. I couldn't just head there right away though, because we first needed to purchase the rights to mine there. The price tag on this planet added up to $1 million, which would have been a hard task in the past, but not now that we had Prestige 2. All I had to do was mine iron and collect loads of money through Coin Siphon. The iron is also super useful since unlocking a vision expansion reveals a new upgrade with 80 possible levels, and the one we unlocked this time used iron for more drill damage. With the funds now in order, completing another achievement, we could acquire the moon and drop in for our first mining run. The moon was way smaller than the planet home, but since it's a new planet, it has a fresh set of 3 new resources for us to collect. The first of these resources was rock. Placed right on the surface, it upgraded the drill speed, only taking a little bit to max out the 2 upgrades to level 5. Below the layer of rock was a massive deposit of coal. The addition of fossil fuels greatly increased our fuel storage capacity and also unlocked electricity for the drill. This electricity made it so every time we mined a block, the drill would charge with electricity. What did electricity do? Well, at the moment, nothing. Any upgrade for it needed way more coal than what we had right now. That leaves the third and arguably the most exciting element left, sulfur. As I'm sure you know, sulfur is one of the key ingredients in creating humanity's most powerful mining tool of all time, explosives. Combining sulfur with coal creates the very first explosives humanity made, black powder. Now that we had both in our possession, I could craft them together to make our very own gunpowder. The crafting process was very slow, however, so I'd have to make sure that there was always a queue of some gunpowder crafting. In order to make this happen, we would need a large amount of both resources. Collection was slow though, since sulfur was very strong, and it only netted around 200 per trip. Many trips later though, we were able to acquire a large stock of gunpowder. All this gunpowder allowed us to unlock grenades. These handheld explosive devices would come with us on every mining trip, where I could use them to explode batches of ore. However, in their current state, they were extremely weak. While mining to get more sulfur, I also had to go through the entire coal layer, and in no time racked up a good amount of coal in the process. This let us finally get a single upgrade for electricity, electric fuel boost. The more electricity we had, the more fuel we could hold, up to a 5% boost at its current level. This seemed like it would be useful, but it was a max fuel boost, not a fuel boost. With the only way to fill up on fuel during a trip right now being the small amount we got back from regeneration, electricity still wouldn't be useful. On the other hand, as more gunpowder crafted, grenades kept becoming more and more useful. I decided while we were waiting, it would be smart to head back to the planet home and finish off the aluminum upgrades. In my rush to the moon, I had left a ton of important aluminum upgrades underleveled and was now planning on setting that right. First off, I finished maxing out aluminum plated drill to hopefully be able to insta-mine coal on the moon. In addition, I finished upgrading regeneration and foil to increase our survivability against the sulfur. There was also a new upgrade called Ore Purify that offered us a huge drop boost to all ores mined that I just couldn't leave the planet without. It wasn't a waste to stay here longer though, since this grind also served a double purpose, making us huge stacks of money from Coin Siphon. All this money was super useful for upgrading the grenade's damage and upgrading Coin Siphon even further. During the grind, we also unlocked milestones, costing 800k. This unlocked a new tab that would give permanent upgrades or money for reaching increments of blocks and cores broken. With the grind coming to a close, having finished off most aluminum upgrades, we had a little extra coin and gunpowder. So I decided it was time to unlock 2 new upgrades. The first was Shockwave, which would convert our kinetic energy into explosions on impact. This isn't actually as impactful as it sounds, however, because the only time I was actually moving fast enough to trigger it was when we dropped onto a planet. The other upgrade unlocked critical hits. Crits only helped out when we failed to one-hit a block, like sulfur. This was actually great, but at only 1% per level and costing millions per each one, it would be a long time until crits became a game changer. Neither of these upgrades would be very impactful to us right now, but with a little more moon mining, there were 2 new upgrades ready to look at that could be. First off, there was nothing more impactful sounding than explosive drill. It even had the description, when you break a block, it will explode, hyping it up even more. Costing us 100 gunpowder, it did exactly what it said, in an exploding extravaganza. However, the second upgrade was even better than the first. Rock Reinforcement was the next upgrade in the Path of Armor, unlocked after maxing out foil. It had 20 levels consisting of only rock from the moon. This would be huge for us to level up, so I got to work peeling all the rock off the moon, just like one of those apple peeler machines. Around the time that I got to level 5 in Shield, we received our first cash reward for a Blocks Broken milestone of a cool little $80 million? I immediately used this to double the level on our grenade damage, from level 9 to 18. Now, while we did a modest 326 damage before, a hit from the grenade now did a blistering 1114.6. It wasn't even close to before, with them now tearing through the sulfur layer and bringing us straight to the core. We didn't have even close to the fuel or armor required to take on the core yet, but we did have a ton of sulfur. This let us unlock acid coating for the drill, poisoning any block we damaged but didn't kill. This may not seem useful at first, since why poison something when you could just one-tap it? The thing is, that poison also extends to blocks indirectly damaged by us, including AoE explosions. Combine this with the low damage explosions from every block broken, and this made a strong cleanup combo. After all that mining around, it was about time I finally figured out the big advantage thrusters provided. Using the thrusters, I could hover over the core without falling in. Before, this wasn't very useful because there was no way to break the core without hitting it. Something had changed this recently though. In fact, a very explosive 4 things had changed this, sitting right in our back pocket. We would only take damage if I hit a block, so what if I just didn't? Hey core, take this!
Ooh! Who let you carry around such powerful explosives? There's regulations on that. No matter. Only one of that caliber will not be sufficient to defeat me. Ow! You have more than one?
The plan worked! With Prestige 2 unlocked, we can now collect rock at 3 times the rate. All this rock mining also had a huge bonus of coal and gunpowder, giving us what we needed to unlock some new upgrades. Lightning Static, zapping a block around us every couple of seconds, collecting free resources. The gunpowder upgrade was a bit more impactful, unlocking a new craftable resource, steel. Steel was super expensive to craft, taking 100k iron and 50k coal for just one. It would be too expensive to make a queue of steel, but only a little was needed to unlock some new upgrades. This was the perfect excuse to head back to the planet home to gather a huge stockpile of iron. Using the steel, I unlocked a steel-plated drill, bringing in more drill damage. Mining on the planet home also brought in some of its other resources, and turns out there was a new upgrade using silicone. The silicone unlocked a new craftable resource, circuits. However, unlike steel, we could not craft them since they took a resource we didn't have access to yet, diamonds. Mining on the planet home was still the ultimate cash cow. Using the money, I unlocked a new currency called gems. At first, I had no clue what gems did other than getting more gem chance, but there was something in the back of my head whispering that I had seen them somewhere before. It finally hit when I went to craft more steel. At the top left, I noticed a number that had gone up. Right next to it was the description, use gems to upgrade bulk crafting. Gems were what we needed to increase crafting speed? I'd finally found them! With this, we would be able to get way more gunpowder. Now, while we were mining more steel for steel-plated drill, our gunpowder was adding up quickly. We now had 6 grenades with a block radius of 3.5. Even the radius on explosive drill had gone up. I was looking forward to when the radius got above 1 tile, making the poison explosive cleanup even more powerful. In the meantime, there was an upgrade using both silicone and gunpowder that I was the most excited for, the lens enhancer. Why was I excited for it? The reason was simple. It cost 600 gunpowder. Anything with that much gunpowder in it was bound to be powerful. The item description also added to my excitement with it reading, adds a laser into your drill. Equipment. I bought the upgrade and hopped into a mining run on the moon to test it out. And nothing. Weird. I went back to the upgrades to see what was wrong, and that's when I noticed a new tab called equipment. Going there, I found the lens enhancer, also seeing it leveled up with aluminum and iron mined. Okay, so maybe it needs to go to the planet home first. So I went there to mine. And with all of that, still nothing. I had to be doing something wrong. So I went back to the tab and saw none of the ore that we had mined had counted. I clicked on the item to see why, and a giant green equip button popped up. Okay, I probably should have clicked on it way earlier. It even had equipment in its description, though in my defense, every upgrade before had just been automatically applied. With the lens enhancer equipped, it was finally working. We now had a little robot following behind us, leveling up with the mined iron and aluminum. The lens enhancer made us way stronger, so while mining some aluminum in Prestige 2, I accidentally bumped into the core and completely shattered it, unlocking Prestige 3. This meant another 3 times resources, now 9x the first stage. Of course, this was only if I could mine the blocks at their higher health. This would have been a problem if it wasn't for the bonuses of the lens enhancer. While sadly it didn't give the drill a laser to mine with like I was hoping, it did give us a massive damage multiplier. At just level 3, we got a 50% damage bonus, easily giving the damage to drill through a Prestige 3 home. Damage was one thing, but fuel was another problem. Thankfully, all the regeneration we had made a weird balance where mining aluminum would lose fuel, but mining the other ores gained fuel. I kept mining iron for steel while also leveling the lens enhancer with aluminum, all while more gunpowder kept crafting. Prestige was also great for crafting since each one provided a 3x gem bonus. We kept piling up more and more gunpowder, maxing our grenades radius at level 10 and getting 13 grenades. I even got explosive drills radius above 1 tile, spreading our poison explosive damage even wider. This was how the mining went until I found one upgrade so powerful it changed the way I would mine forever. Missiles. Costing large amounts of steel and gunpowder, they were the peak of what we could get with our current resources. Missiles would fire a missile every second, causing a minor explosion on impact. This actually was not too impactful at low levels. In fact, we already had missiles for a while now. Grenades were just more powerful and had a way larger radius. But burst damage is not what made missiles shine. The real thing that made missiles shine was that they were unlimited. Unlike grenades, the missiles would never stop. I think you can see where this is going. By using the thrusters we unlocked earlier, I could hover above anything and take it out without having to use any fuel in the process. This meant, as long as we had the damage to not sit there for hours, we could prestige as many times as we wanted without having to worry about fuel. I used this trick to easily make it to Prestige 3 on the moon. This made grinding out a load of rock and coal way faster. While armor may no longer seem useful anymore, we still needed it to mine basic resources in a timely manner. With all the resources we had gathered, I figured we were ready to finally face some new planets, and unlock the second vision upgrade, completing an achievement. This also unlocked another 80 level upgrade using coal for more armor. There were now 3 new planets, and none of them were cheap. The cheapest required 80 mil, and on the most expensive side, 2 billion. However, while we were making our Prestige 3 home easily made up for these high prices. One run made 100 million. To make even more money, I used the missile trick to unlock Prestige 4. It wouldn't be long now until we had 2 billion and... oh, that really wasn't long. Turns out we had 100k blocks mined milestone and instantly got 2 billion. We now had the cash to buy any of the new planets, completing an achievement as well. I used this money to acquire the planet Endora, which contained 2 new resources for us. First off was sand. Covering the surface of the planet, it was easy to mine in large amounts. The planet also had a large section of coal underneath the sand, making it the perfect combination to collect the resources needed for the newest craftable item, glass. Glass was used in all sorts of upgrades for electricity. With glass, the static was now explosive, faster, and had a larger radius. Glass also unlocked a boost to drill stats based off of how much electricity we had. These boosts could be seen in the bottom left of the HUD while mining. Glass was great. So did the third resource of the planet stack up to it? The answer was cobalt totally did. Using cobalt, I unlocked the depth meter, giving us bonuses to the drill based off of how close we were to the core. The other cobalt upgrade was cobalt covering. It was yet another armor upgrade, but this time the bonuses it was offering were insane. There was only one issue with cobalt. It was insanely strong, even compared to the other ores on its planet.
Ha ha ha, fool! You will never be able to get past my cobalt. It is far too strong for your measly fuel capacity.
I'll use our special mining tactic that not even your cobalt can stop. I went to the planet Home for steel and Home's moon for gunpowder. With these, I was able to level our missiles to level 5 with an upgraded radius. We now had the firepower. Using missiles and static, I hovered above the cobalt and tore a hole into the core for an easy level 2 prestige. Endura through this!
Missiles? Your power grows, but so will mine. Do not grow arrogant, weakling!
Prestige 2 was great for gathering all the resources we needed for glass. Glass was cheap like gunpowder, so it would be a wait till we got the amounts we needed for upgrading. So, while we waited, I decided to head to the cheaper planet Glacius I had skipped to see if its unique resource ice would be of any use to us. The ice was even weaker than the sand, and we easily got to Prestige 4, completing an achievement for having 10 cores in the process.
Yeah, I admit, my ice was not all it was cracked up to be.
The ice was basically useless to us, only getting an upgrade that I honestly never figured out if it did anything. But that was one more core down. However, just because the resource ice was useless to us didn't mean that the planet was. With all the money we had, there was now a new equipment item for sale costing $900 million called Siphon Expander. This would become the go-to equipment item on a completely different level than the Lens Enhancer. While the Lens Enhancer was great for a little more damage, the Siphon Expander gave us a huge bonus to the already powerful coin siphon, and most importantly gave a massive drop boost. Just one run on Prestige 6 home with this netted us $16 billion. What does this have to do with Glacius being useful? Well, the planet has both rock and sand, the 2 resources needed to upgrade the Siphon's level. With our current level on Siphon Expander, we were now getting 2 times the resources in cash. With this huge amount of money, I bought the final planet of the Vision Upgrade Vita for $2 billion. It had the 3 new resources of plant, soil, and clay. But after doing one mining trip and finding 0 upgrades, I promptly forgot about this planet until way later. The new planet was not the greatest, but speaking of new planets, we now have the resources for the next Vision upgrade, so I bought it. We could just check out the new planets and see if they had any new resources for us. I just had to buy them first, and with the Siphon equipment, there was no way we couldn't afford them. I got the first planet for 700 trillion. That must be the most expensive one. Let me just look at the other planet for 10 trillion. Okay guys, I've decided we are far too weak for any of these new planets, and we'd be better off completing the upgrades we currently have access to. Nothing at all to do with being broke. To get stronger, we would need to upgrade our 2 main sources of damage right now, static and missiles. This meant we needed more steel, gunpowder, and glass. I first set out to get steel using the missiles to prestige the home planet up to level 9 and collect billions of iron. This let us craft thousands of steel, getting missiles up to level 9 with a level 6 explosion size. The missiles were now way more powerful than before, but static would get the biggest difference in power from its upgrades. After a few runs on Endora to collect glass, I was able to max out the upgrade's static speed, bringing down its time per strike by divided by 50. The biggest difference came in the upgrade after that. It was another static speed that gave another divide by 10 per level. Maxing this out doubled the overall static speed and finally showed its true potential. Going into a run on Glacius, every block within the static radius was detonated by a static zap, clearing out a huge radius at insane speeds. It only started to struggle against the higher health blocks near the core. This was exactly what we needed to balance with missiles that specialized against high health targets. Using our newfound block clearing power, I took home up to prestige level 11. Then I cleared out all the iron for a sweet 1.5 billion iron, and an even sweeter 12 trillion coins, bringing in another achievement. I used this money to buy the cheapest of the 3 new planets, Diamond Glaciers, for 2 trillion. The entire planet was made up of 3 layers of diamond, thicker diamond, and ultra dense diamond.
Ha ha ha! You'll never get through the hardest material!
It didn't matter that there was only one resource, however, because diamonds were the most useful resource. First, the diamonds could be used to unlock and max out diamond plated drill for easy drill damage. Then it could be used to unlock and upgrade the ore infusion upgrade for an amazing 825% drop boost at only level 8 out of 15. That's not the end, however, because diamonds are also used to upgrade armor with the diamond covering upgrade at even higher numbers than cobalt had. However, despite all the amazing upgrades diamond had unlocked so far, none of them were diamond's most important use. Crafting circuits. We will need loads of these, and at 100,000 diamonds per one circuit, you can guess the amount of diamonds we will need. For now, I used the circuits I had crafted so far to unlock even more upgrades. I unlocked the ability to regenerate grenades. This would be insane, but the regeneration rate was too slow to rival the power of missiles yet. I also unlocked drones, little autominers that would fly around the planet and pick up extra ores as I mined. After getting what I felt was enough diamonds, I headed to Home's moon and went up to Prestige 6, gathering more resources for gunpowder and steel. With this, I finished maxing out the missiles, now firing 10 every second. We were now ready to check out a new planet and see if it would have a wonderful material like diamond. I gathered together 10 trillion and headed out to Agracius. The outer materials were nothing new, but after sampling the innermost ore, we struck gold! Yay howdy, it's a gold rush in these parts! There was one clear upgrade that gold could be used for. Every time we succeeded in taking down a core, we collected a little bit of its power. Up until now, I haven't been able to do anything with this power, and thus it had just been gathering, collecting dust. Gold changed this. With its magical power, the drill could be equipped to use this core power in 3 different areas: boost drill damage, boost fuel, and boost siphon. Of course, we were way too poor to afford this breaking edge achievement, but when the drill gets equipped with these boosts, they will be visible in the bottom left of the HUD. Continuing our journey to take down all the cores, I decided to take a closer look at Agracius. Diamond Glaciers was way too hard to take down the core, but despite being a more expensive planet, Agracius looked doable. This was because of one special feature of the planet. It was built different. The entire center of the planet around the core was completely hollowed out, leaving the core exposed if we could just find a way to get in. And thankfully, I came packing a punch.
Ha ha ha! This planet is foolproof! No human would be able to get past all that gold lying about!
Too bad for you, I'm not human.
Ah! Why do you have even more explosives? No matter, keep stacking explosive, fool! You will never be able to take down all my
With the allure of core power on the horizon, I headed back to the planet home to take down 3 more prestiges. In the process of doing so, however, we reached the required amount of gems for another equipment upgrade. Every time so far that I've unlocked an equipment item, it has been a game changer for mining, and this time the gem materializer would be no different. Even with the amount of gems that we've been collecting so far, crafting speed has remained a huge bottleneck in the upgrading process. The gem materializer would get more gems and leveled up with gems mined. The perfect place to use this was back on the planet home, where Prestige 15 had brought gem chance up to 3,375 times. However, it would remain unclear just how large the bonuses would be from the gem materializer until we got the first few levels. With the drop on home, I was hopeful that this would be a great way to farm out some extra gems, but I had set my expectations way too low for what was actually to come. One mining trip later, we had completely shattered the gem requirements for leveling up the equipment, and just watched the bonuses rise level after level. Not only did the item give a huge boost to gem chance, but it also had well over 100 times multiplier on the gems that it did drop. To put it into perspective, I was using millions of gems before, and just this one leveling run put us in the billions. This was the chance we needed to get ahead on crafting, and I was not gonna waste it. I used our explosives to go up another 5 prestige levels, putting us in the trillions of gems now. Now we finally have a half decent crafting speed, and I can move on to doing something about how painful it was to mine at such a high prestige. Our armor stat was severely lacking compared to our damage, so I re-equipped the siphon and gathered cobalt from Endora and diamonds from Glaciers. With our armor now back up to a usable level, I decided we were ready for the final planet of this vision expansion, Mortem. It was $700 trillion though, so I decided to do what we did every time we needed money: take the siphon to a high prestige run of home. One run was all it took to go from 200 trillion to 1.7 quintillion dollars. I love Siphon. With that short detour over, it was finally time to do our first mining run on Mortem. Like the Diamond Glaciers, Mortem was made up of only a single element, this time uranium. Just being on the planet drained our fuel, working as a hard counter to the missile boring strategy. However, as long as I could break the blocks fast enough, the drill's regeneration could keep it alive, allowing us to collect uranium from the outer crust. Uranium was an extremely useful resource and unlocked a couple of powerful upgrades right away for us. First off, ore reflection got more drop boost, which was always welcome. The uranium also got electrical upgrades that would give the drill even more electricity when breaking blocks. That's not all, because there's also a big upgrade that uranium unlocks left: grenade regeneration delay. We had unlocked the grenade regeneration before, but because of its extremely slow regeneration speed, it hadn't really changed runs too much. This upgrade takes the delay from 10 seconds down to a single second. To top it all off, there was no cap to how many grenades we could hold. This was a huge increase to DPS, and if we ever got to the trillions of uranium, I could upgrade the regeneration speed even further. The only thing preventing us from further upgrades with the uranium was more circuits. Diamond Glaciers was one of the few planets to have escaped our decoring, locking us to Prestige 1 and keeping the core safe.
Diamonds are too strong for you. Give up.
Oh, poor core. While your diamonds may be able to resist the drill, they won't be of any help to you against the amount of grenades that we have stocked up. We now have 120,000 circuits ready for upgrades. The first thing I did was give the drone fleet that we had been building up grenades. Their chip damage would only continue to be adding up. I was also so excited by the idea of drones dropping bombs that I almost missed the upgrade right next to it. Orbital laser. Just the name of it alone sounded powerful. Added to it by the description of place down orbital laser beacons by right clicking. The 50,000 chips and 10,000 uranium price tag only added to this upgrade's possible power. There's only one way to test its power, so I dropped into a run on Diamond Glaciers and right clicked. Even though the laser was only around for a short burst, it left a solid chunk out of the super hard diamonds below. We needed more. The upgrade could go up to level 10, meaning 10 lasers I could fire off in a single burst. The only problem was how circuit heavy the upgrades were. So after waiting a little for 95,000 circuits to craft, I bought a second laser. This revealed 2 new upgrades to the laser width and orbital laser stay time. Stay time would be insane. I thought the laser was only going to be a single hit like grenades, not a complete way to core planets. The stay time only cost a few million uranium as well, and we had plenty of that. With the upgrade at level 6, there was now an additional 6 seconds of stay time. This was already strong enough to get us to the core of Diamond Glaciers and onto Prestige 3. All these new diamonds also had yet another sink, being the currency used to upgrade laser width, taking 5 billion at just level 1. That was not all being added to the diamond sink though, because we finally had resources for the next vision upgrade, and with a new vision upgrade comes a new level 80 upgrade. Can you guess the resource this needed? Yeah, it was diamonds for drop boost. Getting vision upgrade 4 completed another achievement also. Before I got tempted by the new planet though, I wanted to make sure we had all 10 orbital lasers. We would want them sooner rather than later, so I started out by fully maxing out the stay time since the amount of uranium I was asking for was super cheap. I also maxed out drone stay delay plus while I was at Mortem. Now, it was time to get all the diamonds. Multiple mining runs and billions of diamonds later, we now had level 2 in laser width and no more circuits to show for it. This was gonna take a while. The only good news is the drone upgrade was 100% worth it, as the drones can now clear a substantial chunk out of the surface each trip. Even more trips later, I queued 100 billion diamonds into 1 million circuits. This may seem like I was getting close, but no. At only level 4, it took over 600,000 circuits for one more laser. Even more diamonds later, at level 6, it was costing 2.2 million circuits for one more level. Once I was getting in the millions of circuits, I noticed a new craftable item called quantum boards. It was already costing so much for the final levels, 1 million more circuits wouldn't hurt, right? I just couldn't hold back my curiosity at the new upgrades that could be bought with quantum boards. So I unlocked them. Each quantum board took 10,000 circuits and 80,000 steel, making them insanely expensive not only in raw resources, but in crafting time too. With the resources we had on hand, I was able to make 39 of them. This was enough to whet my palate with some of the new upgrades, and I unlocked a 1% chance to spawn micro drills when breaking a block. Do I know what a micro drill is? No, but was it a small break from mining diamonds? Yes, just don't do the math on how many diamonds these new boards take. You know what? While we're on a break from mining diamonds, let's go get some more core power from the other planets. To start out, more gold from Agracius would be needed to upgrade the core's power efficiency. Let me just deploy the orbital lasers to get some gold and... oh, Prestige 3, wait, Prestige 4 now? I hadn't realized because all we've been mining was the super strong diamonds, but we've gone pretty strong now. The orbital lasers seem to do a really good job at coring the small planet, so we might be able to get a few more cores out of a Holmes moon. Let's drop into a Prestige 6 run and... wow, that was fast. I barely even had time to deploy the lasers before the drones tore right into the core. This was gonna be a bloodbath. 10, 15, 20, 25. It's finally starting to slow down a little. 30 and 34 is where I'm gonna stop at. We almost doubled the amount of cores we had, in turn close to doubling the boost we were receiving. That's not all, because look at the money. We now have quintillions of dollars just lying around. Upgrades waiting on money to be unlocked were now green all over the tech tree. Things like drone bomb size, drone bomb delay, and crit massively increasing our critical strike chance, as well as giving us a crit drop chance multiplier. It was finally time to go back to mining diamonds, where the power gain from the cores was immediately noticeable. We quickly blew through Prestige 3 to 4, and with the right RNG to Prestige 5. The diamonds kept coming quicker and quicker, but the diamond upgrades just kept getting more and more expensive. We got up to 8 lasers, more armor, and more drop boost, and way more laser width, until I felt it was just taking too long between upgrades. The only fix to this was more core power, so I set out to another planet we haven't been to in a long time, the planet home. I used the gem materializer from Prestiges 22 to 35, gaining trillions of gems in the process, before switching back to Siphon up to Prestige 49. This got us so much iron that I was finally able to max out the level 80 drill damage upgrade. At this point, we had over 1 billion circuits queued up for crafting, plenty for the final 2 lasers. The rest of the 200 million circuits we had on hand turned into 2.6k quantum boards for micro drills. With our goal achieved, it was finally time to check out the new planet that we had unlocked with the last vision expansion. Letum only cost 10 quadrillion coins, nothing compared to the 600 quintillion we had lying around. The planet had 3 new resources for us to use, and of course a fresh core lying inside waiting to be gobbled up. It would only take 1 drop.
Ha ha ha! Welcome to my toxic planet. I have both lead and mercury. A double whammy of toxic pain. Good luck making it past. You're going to need it.
Funny you think we even need to touch you to take you out. Come, orbital lasers!
Orbital what? There's no way you have access to military technology now. Oh gosh, you do? No matter. I have a secret 3rd resource on this planet, tungsten. There's no way you can melt it. It has a melting point of 3,422 Celsius. More than double that of the silly iron you have been mining. See? They're doing nothing. You should just stop. Ha ha ha. Seriously, why aren't they stopping? How much power do you have? Ah!
With that, 1 more planet's core is down and 3 resources acquired. Actually 4 because meteorites fall from the sky for a total of 4 new resources to upgrade with. So, get ready for a quick flurry of upgrades. First off, electric shield for more electric bonuses, then tungsten drill for drill damage, and lastly caustic gas, which makes us shoot bubbles out that immediately got upgraded with better delay between shots, size, and stay time. In order to max the stay time though, we needed more uranium, so I headed over to Mortem to continue the coring spree.
You may have gotten past the other hazardous substances, but uranium is on another level. I urge you, keep trying. You're not gonna get through though.
We'll see about that.
Wait a second. You have lasers and uranium has a lower melting point than tungsten. I'm screwed.
Prestige 2 gave us way more uranium than what we needed, and I easily maxed out the bubble's stay time. This much uranium also had other uses, like finally leveling up the 2nd grenade regen upgrade, taking the already minuscule 1-second delay down to only a 1/10 of a second. It also let us max out drone bomb size and aura reflection, and then top it off with some more electricity from nuclear reactor. After all that, I remembered that I hadn't completed looking at the rest of the new upgrades from Letum. Lead applied poison to our grenades, tungsten gave more armor both permanent and scaling with electricity, and finally meteorite gave more drill damage, scaling with electricity. Our electric boosts were now looking insane. For now, I decided to head back to Home's moon and get a couple more cores, since we were only a few away from the milestone of 100 cores. After hitting the milestone, I went back to mining the most needed resource of this entire game, diamonds. There was a new upgrade waiting for us though after the first run of diamonds unlocked by the tungsten we had recently gotten. The upgrade was a branch off from the armor branch called Tile Damage Reduction. This was no mere armor increase. Maxing it out gave a flat 50% damage reduction, severely increasing our survivability. We were super close to reaching Prestige 6 in the Diamond Glaciers, so I went to Agratius and got all the gold we needed to max out drill damage core boost. That combined with finally maxing out our laser width was all we needed to reach Prestige 6. Finally, diamonds were coming in at a decent rate, so I took this moment to queue up 35 billion circuits to be crafted. Quantum boards were going to be needing a ton, not to mention the drone army would require a lot as well. While I was waiting on the crafting, I decided to check on a planet I had bought a long time ago but never actually did anything with. Vita. I hadn't found a use for any of the resources at the time I had bought it, so I just moved on without even taking the first core. It was time to change that.
You may have been able to beat me while I was just sitting here doing nothing, but how will you fare against the planet teeming with organic life form?
One fire of the orbital lasers was all it took to take down the core, and we quickly gathered up a few more cores for the core power. Now, the big question. Is there finally something to do with all this organic material? Turns out, there's a whole mechanic with the organics called farming that we could totally do to grow more ore, but honestly, we already have such a high prestige on all the resources, it's simply not worth the time. Vita was not all useless though, as there was one useful upgrade using clay called ceramic shrapnel. This stuffed 20 shrapnel pieces into every grenade, adding a huge chunk more damage and making it completely worth our time to come here. With all loose ends finally tied up, I felt ready to take on the very last vision expansion. All we needed was 1,000 quantum boards, which we already had lying around. Getting the last vision expansion also unlocked the last level 80 upgrade, unlocking drill damage, but this time using gold. We had way more than the money we needed to unlock all the planets after reaching into the sextillions of dollars on the Home's moon. The only question left would be if we had the firepower to take them on. I decided to go to the cheapest one first and dove right in.
You've done it now! You think my power is limited to planets only? I am all cores! Try taking on the literal sun for size!
You think we can do this? You versus the sun. Who would win?
I'd win.
Don't be a fool! There's no way you could beat the sun! It's made of plasma and gas! You can't even mine it! Oh gosh, what are you doing? how are you doing? How are you mining pure energy? Oh! What are you mining? 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 Pure energy? Oh! What
After taking out the prestige 1 of an active star, we got many of the resources found in the early stages of nuclear fusion. This meant huge upgrades to the drill in all sectors. Nitrogen could be used for jet fuel, giving a stupidly large number to fuel size. Neon was used to give a 10x damage multiplier to our critical hit, which with our already massive critical hit chance was super valuable. Hydrogen was the resource with the upgrades I was the most excited for though. In combination with the quantum boards, we got access to a new extremely powerful damage dealer called energy balls. These guys go up to level 14 and each level adds another ball to the orbit of the drill. Their size could also be increased with more quantum boards. The hydrogen was also used in ore cleaning for another 567,000% more ore drop rate at level 26 out of 30. It's not over though, because one of the most powerful upgrades ever is available, the hydrogen bomb. It's completely broken, scaling the grenade's damage by 200% of the drill's damage. Without any more explosive damage upgrades, the grenades had really started to stagnate, but this changed everything. Lastly, hydrogen increased static size, and with that, we've gotten through all the upgrades from taking out the sun. You can't just take out the sun though, because destroying a star causes an even greater phenomenon in the universe, a supernova.
Fine, I admit it. You are strong. I will stop underestimating you now. See if you can take on my true power!
So this is the true power of the foe we're facing. It's on a completely different level than before.
Don't worry, Miner. We're on a completely different level as well. We can win. Just not right now. We need more strength. Tactical retreat! The supernova was way too much for us, even after all the upgrades we had gathered from the sun. But we were still able to yoink some resources from the spinning blocks before meeting our demise. First off, we got carbon, which was used to gain more drop boost both in general and with electricity. It also greatly boosted the spinning speed of the balls, making them way more useful than before. Finally, the carbon gave more crit damage. Carbon was not the only new resource from the supernova. We also collected antimatter. Antimatter was the resource we needed to make our grenades even more powerful. At the rate we are producing grenades, I have to spam the spacebar almost 10 times a second just to barely keep up. Antimatter fixes this by grouping the grenades into mega bombs. This alone would be great, but Antimatter decided to keep on giving, increasing the size of both the drill's explosions and the grenades. But now we needed to go gather more power to be able to take down the supernova. The best way I can think of to gain more power quickly would be core power. We got Glacio to Prestige 32 and Endura to Prestige 13, completing an achievement for breaking 1 million blocks. This finally got the cobalt we needed to max out Cobalt Shield and get the 30% more damage reduction. With these last 2 planets completed, all the easy cores for us to gather were now gone. I took this as the right time to go to the final planet of the entire game, Cupid.
Behold my riches! Gold and gems galore! Also cobalt, because do you know how valuable cobalt is for batteries? Take what you want, I can't stop you now. But if you think this is gonna be enough to take on my final form, you'll be sorely disappointed. I'll be waiting.
Another core down. This planet is amazing. Gold was one of the resources with the smallest deposits to mine from, and having an entire planet made out of it was insane for maxing out the newest level 80 upgrade. The biggest gain though was the gems at the core of the planet. We could get gems before, but they were a chance drop from ore that drop boost didn't work on. Now that I could mine gems directly though, I could use the siphon equipment on it and our massive drop bonus to absolutely fly past any amount of gems we had collected before. We completely passed by the quadrillion straight into the quintillions of gems. These gems couldn't have come at a better time, as they were just what we needed to keep up with the insane rate prices were growing for drones, as well for the insane production we would need for quantum boards. I took this crafting upgrade as a sign to put a huge queue on all the craftable resources. Going around all the planets, I queued up a trillion circuits, a quadrillion gunpowder, and a quintillion steel and glass. I also made 230,000 quantum boards and put them into micro drills. Then I made another 120,000 quantum boards and got to 6 balls with more ball size. This unlocked an upgrade for the balls using a resource we haven't touched yet from the supernova, lithium. This upgrade increased ball power by 50% per level, and we got to level 8 out of 20 right away. With this, we had gathered most of everything we could possibly use from all the planets. It was time to take down the supernova. Gathering together all the strength we had gathered so far, I dove into the supernova and failed. Even though I failed, we were so close, almost seeing the core peeking past a swirling vortex of plasma. What we needed was one last push, and the shop had just the upgrade using antimatter and carbon from the last supernova run to etch out 6% more damage reduction. Now I'm certain we can do it. 5 billion fuel to make it to the core, 4 billion, 3 billion, 2 billion, 1, and we're in! Once in the eye of the storm, all that was left was to shoot down the core till it was no more.
No! Impossible! No one can become that strong in such a short amount of time! I can't die here! Ah!
After defeating the supernova, there would be no more cores left standing. Our goal of defeating them all would have been completed. There is a reason though that no one has ever been able to defeat a star before. The most powerful object in the entire universe, the black hole.
We've done it now!
Yep. The black hole was strong, but that wasn't even the worst part. Due to the conservation of angular momentum, the black hole had an insane spin to it, evening out all damage done along its entire surface. This meant the strategy we had used against every single planet of boring hole to the core would never work. The black hole was made up of only a single resource, the singularity. This single resource had a single upgrade to go along with it, the infinity box. I was able to buy this upgrade, but was unable to tell what it did due to its corrupted description. If we wanted a chance against this thing without a Deus Ex Machina upgrade, it was looking like we would need to completely max out every single upgrade. After spending some more quantum boards, I set out to gather the first resource we would need, uranium. This lets us max out nuclear power and critically grenade regeneration. Doing so revealed an even more powerful tier of grenade regeneration using cobalt. This clearly set the goal of which resource to collect next, so I headed to Endura. The problem though was that despite all the upgrades we had gotten so far, to this point cobalt was still extremely strong for its prestige, and we needed quintillions for the upgrade. It took ages to even get enough for just level 3 out of 9. This was gonna take far too long. Maybe Cupid could be faster? Nope. The gems are just too strong to get to a high prestige. There had to be something I was missing. Our damage wasn't even close. The difference in damage was just too big to go against something as powerful as the black hole. Every planet or star we've been to so far had always had a resource that assisted us. Why would the black hole be any different? The infinity box had to do something. This time I took a closer look at the text and could make out 2 words. Damage equipment. Of course it would be equipment. It makes sense now. If the infinity box was an equipment item, then that would explain why buying it did nothing. I checked the equipment tab, and there it was, with one simple effect. All damage times 3. The box was only at level 1, and it already had the same power as the maxed out lens enhancer. We need to feed this thing more singularities and see just how powerful it would get. I dropped into the black hole again, quickly shredding the first layer of singularities, building an army of microdrills that helped us quickly gather a quadrillion singularities. Now we can see just how much each level brings. I retreated to the shop and checked how much damage the infinity box had gained. The box was still leveling, but at level 22, it provided 22 times all damage? That's busted! Another 100% damage per level, but so far all equipment items had maxed out at level 30, so it was looking like 30x would be the max damage bonus. I dropped into one more run to make sure the infinity box had all the singularities it would need, but also to test out just how much farther we would get with 22x damage. The first layer of singularities was a breeze now, and the second we could barely tank through with regeneration. The third was not even close. Even at max fuel, it only took a couple of hits to completely deplete the drill and end our run. The only question left was how much damage we'd be able to get out of the infinity box before it maxed out. I went to check on the box, expecting it to be maxed out at level 30, but no. Not only had the box surpassed level 30, it had completely blown past the level 95 and was showing absolutely no signs of slowing down. This was the damage we needed. Not only would this be key in defeating the black hole, but it would also allow us to gather all the resources we would need to max out. I aimed this new power at the planet Cupid, not only for cobalt, but also the gold used in the level 80 drill damage upgrade. With the power of the infinity box, we took Cupid from prestige 4 to 16. Not only did this get us a sextillion gold and cobalt, but it also netted a septillion gems. Getting this was huge for making all the circuits we would need to max out the quantum board upgrades. The entire time that I had spent mining Cupid, the infinity box had just kept leveling. It was now passing level 190. I then took a quick detour to get more core power, amassing 150 cores from Holmes Moon, doubling our core boosts. I didn't even have to fire the orbital lasers a single time. Our damage was just so high that the lasers from the drone army would instantly take out the core as soon as we dropped in. During this time, the infinity box had risen to level 285. Next, I gathered a load of diamonds and finally finished off all 20 drones in our drone army. After this, the infinity box had finally consumed all the singularities we had fed it, ending up at level 326. That meant we had to go back to the black hole to feed it more. I dropped in to collect some more singularities, but when I got to the third layer expecting our run to end, it didn't. Our damage had now reached the point where we regenerated more than the black hole did to us. All it would take was patience and we had it. This was it. The event horizon was down and only the unprotected core remained. If I just stayed here and hovered over the core, we could range it down and finally defeat every single core.
You truly are a monster. To think you would make it to this point. Don't count me out yet though. I still have one final trick up my sleeve. Go! Finger crumb!
Ah! We don't talk about that. It was because I tried to rush things. At the very beginning, the corporation had given us one assignment and one instruction on how to carry it out. We needed all the achievements before I could take down the final core. Thankfully, we had already gathered most of them and only 3 more remained. The first one I was easily able to get by coring Glacius many times until we were up to 500 cores. This completed the achievement and got us a ton of core power. This core power would be nothing in the face of the very final achievement, however. In order to get it, I would have to mine 10 million blocks. To put it into perspective, over over the entire course of taking out every single core so far, we have only mined around 2 million blocks. This would take a long time. Thousands of cores. Finally reaching the max level on the infinity box at 500, and even more cores. Our power was insane. Click, click, click. To say this was a grind would be an understatement. But finally, in the end, I had done it. Coming out on top way stronger than when we had first reached the core of the black hole. We had 18 out of the 19 achievements completed. There was only one last achievement that basically told us what we needed to do next. Defeat the black hole.
Ha ha ha! I can tell just by looking at you now, it's over. I'm glad I got to go out fighting a worthy foe. Just how many cores did you absorb to become that strong?
With that, our mission is complete. 19 out of 19. The only thing left now is to find out what lies on the other side of a black hole. Seriously, thank you to everyone who made it to the end of this video. Comment Apple if you made it here. To the Core was a great game, and to those of you who are on my Discord, one that I had to play through twice, since I lost all my save data right before the final achievement when transferring PCs. I did learn the second time though, how much quicker the game goes if you actually utilize farming. Farming diamonds and cobalt removed the two biggest grinds in the game entirely. If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe and join the Discord. I'm also going to be live streaming the next game that I 100% in the series over on Twitch, so make sure to follow me there if that interests you. If you're watching this on the day of release, I'll be live tomorrow, 12 PM EST time. Link in the description.